So, how long were you in for?
So the 4 years at the Air Force Academy didn't count.
Okay.
Which always blew me away. But 25 in the Navy.
So is it in the Navy the same as it is in the Army? It's usually the first cycle of retirement is 20 and then the next is 30?
Yep. You become eligible at 20. Now the military is kind of doing more of a 401k model. So if you get out at 19 years, you don't just have a goose egg.
Yeah.
So they're changing that a little bit now.
Yeah. Okay. So you got out and you went into private industry. What was that like coming out?
That was a big wake up call. I mean, people tell you when you're getting ready to leave the military service, that things are just so much different on the outside. The priorities are different. The missions are definitely different. And the interpersonal interactions, while still valuable, it's very different than anything you do in the military. Mm-hmm. People tell you that till they're blue in the face, but until you
don't believe it until you see it, right?
Yeah. But so it was eye-opening. The military tries to help you out with some transition assistance type things. But at the end of the day, I think it's hard in different ways for everyone.
Did you do your master's degree before you got out, or did you do a master's degree afterwards? Because the military often offers that to their senior officers.
I did it before I got out. I did it in Monterey in 2004.
What did you do?
Naval Postgraduate School. They had a master's of science. It was called a SOLIC, Special Operations Low Intensity Conflict. Okay. So I did the SOLIC program, which was great for the military, great perspective, great learning opportunities. But SOLIC didn't really help
prepare you for the real world
outside. Yeah. Like, you got a Master of Science. What did you study?
Well, we talked about this beforehand. I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about the company you work for, right? And tell us a little bit about what your position is and what your company does, because I think one of your passions is not just to be out in the world to make money, which is part of it, but you still your heart is still in the right place. You also are looking for things that are valuable, and you work for this company, Katsu. So tell us a little bit about your role there and what Katsu is.
Katsu started in Japan, and I'll go into the company a little bit here, but I think everybody that comes out of the military, whether you realize it in the first couple of days, or some people it takes a year or two to figure it out, once you've spent a career in service, it's very hard, it's very difficult to go into an industry that is not in some way service-based. So to go into an industry that's all about the bottom line and about making a couple dollars, if that's all the organization stands for, and a lot of guys go into that, but pretty quickly you miss
if
what,
they lack
what you
a
were
purpose
doing.
base.
Yeah, if your why is not for me, it was a purpose that was in service in some way, shape, or form. So before I got out, I had 12 orthopedic surgeries.
So you were wrecked.
The last two surgeries I had, I was at Special Operations Command headquarters in Tampa. I'm talking to you in St. Petersburg, Florida. I retired out of SOCOM headquarters at MacDill Air Force Base, which is just across the bay in Tampa. And so the last two surgeries I had, one was a knee replacement and one was a rotator cuff anchor that I tore a rotator cuff off. And the PTs used this device on me, and it was called Katsu, and it helped with my rehab. So that shoulder injury, exact same shoulder injury I'd had when I was 6 years younger in the teams. And when I had that anchor put in, so I fully tore off the supraspinatus rotator cuff, and then they anchor it back in place, right? Well, the first time I had that done, it was just under 11 months to full range of motion.
Yeah, shoulders
range of motion,
is
strength,
a
agility.
pain to get rehabbed.
Oh man, it sucked. And then when I had the exact same injury happen again, kind of embarrassing. I was body surfing, but tore my shoulder back.
No, it was a mission.
So I had to get
mission.
it fixed. It wasn't a mission, right? It was, but so the guys started doing. They did the exact same surgery, did the exact same rehab, but what they said is, we're going to fold katsu, which is like an adjunct to the therapy, and we're going to have you use that if you want. And I said, well, what's it going to do? And they said, well, it should help you heal a lot faster. And it should help with a lot of the chronic pain in your shoulders and whatnot. And so I said, okay, hey, anything to get me back in the fight faster, I'm all about it. And so long story longer, they did all the PT, and at 6 months, so almost half the time, I was at 95% strength, mobility, and agility. And that really got my attention. And then
we'll put the link of katsu somewhere in the podcast, and we might put a picture up. But
please do.
For somebody who's asking himself, well, what is this? Is it a pill? Is it a device? How would you describe it?
This is one of the armbands. It's
kind of like a restrictive device, isn't it?
Yeah, they stretch.
Okay.
You know, so this is an elastic pneumatic band. And you connect it to your smartphone, and you wear it up high on your arm, or the leg bands, you wear it up high on your legs.
It's linked with your smartphone, and you can wear it all day, or what? How's that work?
Well, you wear it during your workout, or you wear it during your rehab, or in some cases, you can use it in a passive use. Okay. So when the bands inflate, you still have circulation going through the limb, but you're dilating all the tissue, all the venous tissue in the limb. So you're slowing the venous return. Okay. And what's amazing, when you do that and you start doing any kind of multi-joint movement, it feels like you're working much harder than you are. So what happens, your body has a hormonal response. You're creating.
It's a stress. It's a slight but important stress factor, which helps your body go into that. I don't know what you would call it. I guess restoring mode
right. You got it. So you're creating metabolic stress. Okay. It feels like, let's say you're lifting a soup can and you're doing it repeatedly while you're wearing this. Very quickly, that soup can will feel like 30, 40, 50 pounds. And
I think I've actually seen that at the gym.
Yeah. There's a lot of knockoff companies. Dr. Sato started this in Tokyo about 50 years ago. Yeah. The original units were the size of small suitcases,
as usual.
And so now you have Bluetooth enabled compressors on the bands themselves, and you control them with the phone, and you go through these cycles of pressure. Okay. So during the pressure on period, everything dilates in the tissue distal of the band, and then during the pressure off cycle, you get about 5 seconds of new blood coming through and flushing everything out. And then you have a little bit higher pressure, and it does it all in the background automatically. So in my case, when I started doing the physical therapy on my shoulder, everything felt much harder, but you get a hormonal response as if you're moving heavy weight. And
now you don't have to be a Navy SEAL to be able to get something like this, or?
No. What's interesting is our biggest demographic is ladies over 60. Okay. So sarcopenia, you've heard of sarcopenia, muscle wasting, and frailty, and all the concerns that come
so it helps with degenerative bone and muscle things as well?
Definitely on muscle, and definitely with connective tissue, and you have capillaries everywhere, right? Okay. Yeah. So all the way down to the capillaries, you're dilating tissue, and you're just helping improve blood flow. So if you think about an older lady that's sedentary and she's getting a lot of atrophy in her major muscle groups, this is a way to create hypertrophy and build muscle.
Yeah.
So our oldest client was 104
Okay.
years old.